Let's ask New Jersey Congressman Jeff Van Drew, who joins us now. Congressman, good to see you. There are a lot of folks in D.C. who are dedicated to sending money that we don't have to Ukraine while we have an invasion on our southern border. So what don't elected leaders understand here? What's happening? Make sense of it all for me, please.
Well, what elected, officials, some of them don't understand is that times have changed. People are tired of this. And they're particularly tired of these bills where you take Ukraine funding and Israel funding and funding to Pakistan and funding to the Indo-Pacific and jam it all in one bill. So some members are either stuck voting for something they don't want, Ukraine funding, or voting for something against something they do want, Israel funding. And we want to see that done with that type of presentation of a bill. It's a new time, and these bills should be done individually, and that's what Speaker Johnson has said. I agree with him. I've spoken to him at length about this in the past and presently. Those should be individual bills and let them stand or fall on their own merit. But this stuff where they jam things together and you're forced to vote for something you don't want is wrong. It's not what the American people want.
Is he right, though, that if they do pull their stunts and they bring it to the floor, it will pass, despite the fact that so many Americans think it sounds so common sense, what you said about just take each individual issue on its own merit?
Oh, I think there might be a chance it would pass. I don't know how many Republicans would vote for it, but you know that all the Democrats would vote for it. Remember what President Biden said. He doesn't care how much money it costs. He doesn't care how long it takes. He doesn't care how involved we are. He's going to continue with the Ukraine issue. Ukraine never should have happened. If he was a strong president, the way our previous president was, and literally called Putin on the phone and said, you better not do this, it wouldn't have happened. Putin, remember, let us know. He warned us that he was going to go in Ukraine. He amassed troops at the border with Ukraine. The signs were all out there, and Biden did nothing. Remember this always. Weakness causes war. We have a weak president and a weak administration, and that's why we are where we are in the Mideast. It is why we are where we are in Ukraine as well.
But they're worse than weakened, with all due respect. They're compromised. Joe Biden took money from Ukraine, and we know that. And he's compromised on China. He's compromised on Ukraine and other places with many of our enemies, in fact, because he's personally profited from them. I just don't want this to go unsaid when we get on this topic, Terrance. Sorry.
No, you're fine. The words history is watching are still in my mind. And it seems to me that history is watching the fact that we have not secured our border and that we've allowed this historic invasion in our border on the watch of Joe Biden, Congressman.
We are more worried about the borders in Ukraine than we are on the borders of the United States of America. I want your viewers to understand something, and I believe they do. The people, some of them, who are coming into this country illegally are on the terror watch list. The drug cartels control the border. Everybody who makes it across, so many of them, owe to the drug cartels and are part of that. It's a terrible. It's awful what's happening to our country. We've seen what's happened. We see, where they come into our urban areas and are called part of the reason we have the urban decay and the urban rot that we do. We've seen what's happened where they literally have, attacked police officers, and I have a bill to deal with that, but they've attacked police officers and then are put in jail maybe for a day and released. And when they're released from jail, give the middle finger to those that are videoing them and then steal somebody else's identity and take buses and travel out west, are never going to be there for any kind of a trial. American citizens couldn't get away with that. We are compromising the structure and the substance of the United States of America. It has to end. The money that's going for Ukraine, it's not all just going for munitions to protect them. It's going for their police, their fire, their rescue. But meanwhile, we can't take care of our own veterans, our own people, our own cities. It's just so wrong. It's so wrong, and it's time that it stops. The American people, I believe the majority of them want it to stop, but politicians sometimes don't listen.
Congressman, on the foreign spending bill, back to the Ukraine money that's tied to Israel and other countries as well. How does this play out ultimately? How do you think it's going to play out? I mean, you talked about, or Mike Johnson's kind of floated separate bills, but what about attaching parts of H.R. 2, that tough border bill that the House has passed as part of the spending bill? In other words, not what Langford and the folks in the Senate want, but something stronger. Do you think that's a possibility here?
Oh, it's a possibility for us, those of us that want to do the right thing here, and I hope that's what happens. They should still all be individual bills. That's what we fought for and stand for, is that you should vote on a bill by its merits, not when a lot of different issues are jammed together. H.R. 2, which is a great bill. I mean, the House did do its job on that, and understand it continues it and it finishes building the wall. It has immediate extradition back to the country of origin for those that do get through. It no longer allows catch and release. It ensures that our borders are buttoned up with new technology, ensures that the Border Patrol, which they want to do, can do the job that they need to do. That bill should
But do you think Johnson will put that on? Do you think Johnson will put some of that in the foreign spending bill, attach it, and have a vote on that?
We're going to have to find out. I mean, as you pointed out, we've got a razor-thin majority. I would rather see that we've got to get. I mean, I would vote for that again without the Ukraine funding. But I would vote for something, obviously anything that would make our borders better. But the bottom line is this has to play out. Yeah. Margin is razor thin. These are the most difficult of times, and we just have to continue to do what's right here.
Congressman, what's your best guess as to what would happen to a straight line vote on funding for Israel?
I believe a straight line vote for funding on Israel that only required a simple majority would absolutely pass. The very vast majority of Republicans and many Democrats would vote for it. And so that's something that I think should come up. I believe Israel has been our longtime ally for many years, our best friend in the Mideast, a force of civilization in the Mideast. Remember, it wasn't that many years ago we had the Abraham Accords. I ask people to remember where we are now and where we are then and the difference. And so I believe that it would. And I believe, and not to be repetitive, but standalone bills stand or fall on their own merit.
Yeah.
Congressman
Jeff Van Drew, great to see you. By the way, it looks like they're building the wall right behind you. That's an impressive Skype shot.
It's symbolic.
That's right. So the Democrats didn't build your Skype shot, that's for sure. All right, Congressman, thank you.
There'd be an
I
open
appreciate you. That's right.